Thursday, okay, the Turners. Prices will come up very shortly. But Donn, I think Banbridge was one of your horses to follow this year. He's done very well. There he is, 5.0. Mighty Potter is 2.42. Appreciate It is 4.7. 14.0 Balco Coastal. Donn.
Yeah, look, Mighty Potter looks monstrous, really. He's a worthy favourite, and I think the right favourite as well. Like he's a dual Grade 1 winner over hurdles last season as a novice. For all that he did disappoint in the Supreme Novices, and then this year he looked really good in winning the Drinmore, and then I thought looked even better in winning the Novice Chase at the Dublin Racing Festival. But I suppose he is short, and there is that little worry in your head that when he went to Cheltenham last year, it just didn't happen for him. Now, look, there were excuses, but he made a mistake early on, and he was pulled up. Jack Kennedy pulled him up, so he has to get over that. And when you're dealing with a short-priced horse, I think you need everything in your favour, including horse form. So that's just a wee bit of a niggle. Whereas Banbridge, he probably doesn't have the proven class that Mighty Potter has, and he was well behind him in the Drinmore Chase, but that was on soft ground. He won the Martin Pipe Hurdle last season. I thought he might step up and trip further at the start of the season. It was the Brown Advisory Chase that I had in mind for him when we spoke at the start of the season, but he showed pace enough to win the Arkle Trial at Cheltenham at the November meeting, over 2 miles exactly, not an extended 2 miles. And then last time at Leopardstown in the Irish Arkle, he was the one who was kind of finishing off his race. He was outpaced by the front runners, including El Fabiolo early on, or on the run out of the back straight, but he stayed on really well to just get up for second place. And I think that's the run that kind of confirmed connections that 2.5 miles was going to be his trip, not 2 miles, because he was under consideration for the Arkle. But I just think with the Cheltenham Festival winning form, we know the Martin Pipe Hurdle can be a springboard to Grade 1 success. And yeah, I think the better ground. He's a super jumper. He's a really fluent and accurate jumper, and on goodish ground that can be seen to good effect. And I think he can give Mighty Potter a race.
Tom, good luck with your 16-1, 17.0 win place on Banbridge. Let's go, he says. Adele.
Yeah, no, exactly the same reason. I like the fact that he's got chase form there as well. I just think, like what Donn already said, in the Irish Arkle, he looked like he was kind of really staying on. So I think the triple suit him absolutely perfectly. We know he handles Cheltenham. He handles that stiff finish. And at the prices, I thought he was definitely the one I wanted on side. I haven't got too much to add because Don's already said it, but they're all the reasons why.
Yep, absolutely fine. Charlie?
I'm with Mighty Potter. I mean, I completely respect what Don's saying about the Supreme last year and the flop there, but just thought he was incredibly impressive at Fairyhouse. He made 2 bad pecks and just literally didn't break stride. And then he was better again at the Dublin Racing Festival. His jumping was much slicker, and just think he looks like another one of Gordon Elliott's that could be the real deal as a chaser. Yeah, I love this horse.
I think Deasy agrees with you.
Yeah, I couldn't get out of my head just how the Drinmore, how he just loomed up and just went past him. I thought it was, and I watched it again last night. I watched Lord of the Race again last night just to get the fresh eyes on him, and it was still as impressive. Then I think he's class. Banbridge is very well as well. This is there could be a few more lurkers in this race, but I think Mighty Potter could just be different level.
The Drinmore, Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all 17 winners of the Drinmore to have run in this the festival have been beaten. And the theory behind this is the best novice in late November isn't usually the best novice in March. Horses improve at different rates. I wouldn't overstate this trend. I like Mighty Potter, and he did become the first Drinmore winner since Harbour Pilot to follow up in the Moriarty, the Dublin Racing Festival. But when, as Donn was saying, if you've got a very short price favourite, you want them to be bomb-proof. So I'm just about prepared to take him on. And with Balco Coastal, who looked as if he was coming to win the Scilly Isles, just got outstayed. The thing about him is I think there's loads of improvement to come for dropping back slightly in trip, for going left-handed. He jumped to his left at Sandown. For the run, Nicky said he's a stuffy horse, had a right good blow afterwards. Nobody's horse has improved more than Nicky's from their prep run to the festival. Apparently worked well at Kempton yesterday. Nicky was saying he isn't looking big as he was at Sandown, so the vibes are good. He said they're going to be riding him a bit more patiently for a turn of foot. And Nicky said in the autumn he was only aiming Balco Coastal at the Turners, not the Arkles, because he had John Bon. So I think he's a really quick and classy horse. And at 14.0, he's just too big a price here.
We move on to the Ryanair then. And Matt, I'll bring you straight back in because Shishkin is he's pretty clearly the best horse in the race. And I mean, last time he not just looked a better horse at the trip, he just looked a different prospect altogether, didn't he?
Absolutely. And ratings and simple things like that have been important in the Ryanair. 9 of the last 12 renewals have been won by the top 2 in the ratings. You'd have made profits back in the blind. And every year in the Ryanair, there's a season-long debate about which horses will run. Connections generally start with aspirations to win one of the 2 championship chases. The vast majority of the best horses run in one of those, but events, and also William Mullins' approach to splitting his horses up, generally result in 1 or 2 top notches in this. They generally outclass the field. You look at the market for that, but also the ratings. Shishkin's on 174. And whilst the BHA ratings for the Irish horses aren't out yet, he's £8 clear based on domestic ratings. So that suggests he should be a really short price here. And anything around 2.0, I think, is a really good price. I think he'll win and win easily.
Yeah. Liam says Shishkin to bounce. For Allen to win. Giddy up. Shishkin 1.93, Blue Lord 7.2, Janadil 10.0, and Allen is 19.5. Adele?
Sorry, Adele, just Tom, before we go off on that bounce point, I've heard a bit about that. Remember, Shishkin did run in the Tingle Creek. It's not as if that Ascot Chase was his first run of the season. If that had been the case, I could imagine the bounce factor might have been an issue, but not now.
Okay. And it's not an issue for you, Adele, clearly.
No, like what I took out of Ascot was just how much better he was going that bit slower, like how much better he was. Like he travelled, I mean, his jumping was beautiful, wasn't it? He literally was an absolute joy to watch. I mean, he's one of them horses. He doesn't ever really knock your socks off when you see him. He's a big horse who sometimes you look at him, like for the age of him, you still look at him and think, oh God, he still looks like he needs to fill out because he has angles everywhere on his shoulders, on his quarters. But he's just that kind of horse, you know. He's a real big kind of old fashioned kind of looking horse. He looked $1 million, but like he won so impressively at Ascot. I spoke to Nico afterwards, and he said he felt like he was back to his best. So if he said that, if he felt that, then who am I to disagree? I think he was a joy to watch, and I just thought it was nice to see him go that little bit slower, and he looked like he really enjoyed it. And they did go a strong gallop. It's not as if they went slow. Like he went a good gallop.
Charlie, do you think he should be shorter even now?
Potentially, yeah, I do. Yeah, I think he's a standout in this race. I'm not sure. I don't really buy into the whole bounce thing anyway, if I'm being completely honest, even if this was a factor. He's a class horse. I mean, he looked to have everything in front of him before, like the Champion Chase last year. I mean, fair play to Nicky Henderson. He's brought him back, and he was massively impressive at Ascot the last day. He's obviously second run back from his wind up. And yeah, I think 2.0, as Matt said, I think is a cracking good bet in this race.
Deasy, where are you looking?
Yeah, like Shishkin, I placed late Shishkin last time just in case he blew up, but like he seemed to be written off on the back of 2 bad runs. Like, but Shishkin has won 12 out of his 15 races, which is an incredible record, and I can see him winning this quite easily. And I'm actually going for the same bet as I did last year, Janadil in the without market, or Janadil for the forecast, a straight forecast. He is just a Ryanair kind of horse. He's too slow for 2 miles and doesn't stay 3 miles, and just comes in right in the middle. Won very well the last day at Goran, nice prep. Yeah, I can see him running into second, so I'm happy enough to stick with him.
Imagine being a Ryanair type of horse. I guess that's a bit like being Spursy in football. Donn.
Ryanair. I love the new adjective, Ryanair.
He's a bit Ryanair. Go on, Donn.
Yeah, look, I like Janadil. Look, what the lads all said about Shishkin, of course, he's the highest rated horse. He's got course form. He was so good the last day, setting up to 2.5 miles or beyond 2.5 miles. And as Adele said, like, he travelled so well. He jumped really well. He looked to be in his comfort zone. Nicky Henderson said all of that afterwards as well, that he just loved the way he travelled. So, look, he's going to take a lot of beating. But I think Janadil is a bit underrated still. The Ryanair picture changed completely in about 8 minutes between Shishkin winning at Ascot and then the Red Mills chase at Goran, where Otan Collar was beaten by Janadil. And I thought Rachel Blackmore was very good on Janadil. She kept him in behind, fourth of the four runners turning for home. And he showed a turn of foot to hit the front of the last and then stayed on. Well, he was a wee bit weak in the market beforehand as well. So while he is a horse that goes well fresh, you'd still expect that he will improve at least a little bit for that. And yeah, he's got good Cheltenham form. He probably would have been third behind Allaho last year if Conflated hadn't come down to the second last, but he stayed on to finish second behind him. And I can see him running well again and on just his second run of the season. And if Shishkin doesn't perform up to the performance that he got up last time at Ascot, I can see him going close.
Liam says Vittori would never have signed for bloody Spurs. That's so true. And as a Spurs fan, that's a very good point. The Stayers Hurdle, everyone's gone there in the Rhino, haven't they? The Stayers Hurdle then, this has done a real shake-up recently, certainly in the last month or so. So Blazing Carl is now 3.85. Marie's Rock is 6.4 if she goes there. She shortened up of late with thoughts that she's going to run here. Home by the Lee, 7.6. Tiupo is 8.0. 10.5 Flooring Porter, bigger prices. The rest. Charlie then. I'll come to you with a horse that seemed to appreciate the distance last time.
Yeah, Tiupo. I mean, he ran in the Champion Hurdle last year. I must admit, I found this a tricky race. I think it's wickedly open. You know, with Blazing Carl, Tiupo, Marie's Rock, Home by the Lead. Like there's a lot of horses with sort of, I would have said, sort of similar chances in this. And I kind of tentatively came down with him, like you say. He was good at Fairy House on his seasonal debut, beating Classical Dream, and then he was even more impressive. Granted, beating Somerville Boy, who's very much in the veteran stage, and it just could be that he's also with plenty of back class that has been sort of improved again by stepping up to this marathon trip, the 3 mile stay and hurdle trip. And I just thought he had a bit of upside against horses that have probably shown their hand a bit more, Tom, but it would be one that I'd just be a bit lukewarm about.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't know how much confidence anyone's got behind their selections. Deasy, how confident are you about a horse that was pretty well held last year?
Well, he was pretty well. Home by the Lee is my horse. If you watch that race back, like coming down the hill, he was behind by a distance. He's not even in the shot when they come into the home straight, and he came absolutely flying home. Completely different horse this year. He's won his 2 races very well. They brought him along nicely. He's a nice enough price. Like I think he should be shorter. I think Tiupo I was arguing about this during the weekend on Twitter that he's very ground dependent, and I thought at the time he wasn't going to get his ground. He might know. So I mean, if it's heavy ground, he's a great chance. And Blazing Carl is his price because half of Ireland have been backing him for the last few months. Anti-Post for this, and I'd say they have just gigantic liabilities on him now. And I have a small one, so I kind of hope he wins. But I'll be back in Home by the Lee as well that day.
Helen says Tiupo, emphasis on the poo. I will remember that going into Cheltenham. Thank you. Where are we going next? All right, Matt, you can come in with your stat and your selection here.
So the stat is that in the first 14 renewals this century, every winner went off 9.5 or shorter, front 4 in the market. 8 renewals since, only 3 have gone off short of 11.0. It used to be a shallow race, often dominated by a standout horse. Best horses got concentrated in fewer hands, had to split up, the race has deepened. And that really looks on point this year. And not only that, there isn't a bomb-proof one at the front of the market. Blazing Carl's a bit fragile, got an inexperienced jockey. Tiupo, the question marks about the ground. Home by the Lee, Paisley Park will be seriously inconvenienced if it's not truly run, and so on. So I think the best bid of forward this season is that Christmas hurdle at Leopardstown. I think the values with the consistent runner-up there, Ashdale Bob, in both the win and especially the place markets. Because his 2 open grade 1s, about 3 mile, neither have been run to suit him. At the Punchestown Festival, they went steadily on good to yielding ground, done for a turn of foot, couldn't quite get to Classical Dream, finished really quickly. At Punchestown, that was speed. At Leopardstown, it was a real slog. He travelled much the best into the straight and in the straight and got outslugged by Home by the Lee. So a typical, not overly strong gallop on a sound surface in the Stayers suit him ideally. Like a lot of Jessicas, he seems to thrive in the spring. Harrington Yard's always been streaky, but they're out of form when Ashdale Bob was second at Christmas. Just coming into some form now that typically thrive at Cheltenham and Punchestown. So in a very open race with no bomb-proof candidate, I don't want to play at a short price. I'd rather play at a big price in both the win and the place markets.
Adele's being a romantic with this one.
Not necessarily. Like what is an open race? The fact that we've all gone for someone different just proves it. Like Matt said, we've got kind of like nothing bomb-proof, but come on, we all love to see Paisley Park win, don't we? But I'm going to play him at the place market because surely this is the biggest prize we've seen him at for a while. Third last year, third the time before. I think he was ridden a little bit differently, wasn't he, in the Cleve Hill? I think they rode him a little bit more prominently. So I thought they might go back and revert to the older tactics when he was kind of dropped in and ridden a bit more patiently. So yeah, I'm kind of going on that angle. The fact that he's been placed the last 2 years and hopefully be placed again.
Well, look, there you go. You've got two markets, haven't you? Win and place. Matt is going to play 25% win, 75% place Ashdale Bob, and Adele 100% in the place market. Liam says any Irish person listening to Deasy's accent will be shocked that he likes Home by the Lee. Shocked. I don't understand that. All I know is that you're from Cork, aren't you, Deasy? Cork?
Cork, bye. Yeah, Dilly is the river that flows through Cork, and there's a lovely song that all Cork people know about. By the banks of my own lovely Lee.
Here you go.
That's it.
I was going to ask you to sing it, Micheál. I didn't think you'd just do it on your own.
Yeah.
I can imagine you doing that late at night, sat on your sofa, bottle of Buckfast in your hand.
Oh, it was Sunday night after Man United won the cup. I was singing that and many more.
Moving on. Moving on. Had to lower the tone.
Yeah.
Donn, you're sitting this one out, yeah?
Yeah, like the lad said, I've been actually back St. Sam in it a little while ago, but he got beaten in the buoyant hurdle. So yeah, I can't figure it out for now. I'm going to have to revisit it. But look, it's a race I don't have a huge opinion on. Marie's Rock, I was kind of looking at if she ran in this race, but Tiapu, like, there's a chance that the step up and trip will compensate for his soft ground, and Gordon Elliott isn't worried about the ground at all. So maybe it's the trip, it's the stamina test that he needs more than soft ground. So yeah, maybe Tiapu, but I don't have a strong opinion on. Yeah,
apologies, Shane, for stereotyping. It's just blatant.
I just at a point in that no one in Cork strings box fast, but the rest of the country do. I don't know. We just have cans of beer.
I used to nail it at uni, so that's fine. Right, we're done on Thursday then. So, any other bets? Again, I'll just go in order in front of me. Just the horse and the race. Matt Toombs.
Ferrero Bamboo in the plate.
Donn McClean.
Lot of Joy in the Mayor's Novice Hurdle.
Adele.
A Glimpse of Gala in the Potence place market.
And Charlie.
Walking on Air, Potence.
All three in the Potence coming up. DC.
Thanks for the help in the Potence, and A Night in Lambourne in the Kimure for Ben Pauling.
All right. Who's got a banging strike rate, as you were saying earlier on? I think that was off air. Best lays. I'm coming in here with Lucia, who the race hasn't had too many winning favourites recently. It's just the name of the horse. Why am I banging on? Matt.
Blazing Cow.
Donn, any lay?
Nope. Fine. Adele Mulrennan.
Mighty Potter.
Charlie.
Lucia.
And DC.
Paisley Tiapu if the ground isn't soft.
Okay. So you're really getting your ducks in a row. One selection on heavy and then one if the ground isn't soft.
I'm just covering all angles.
Quite right.
Putting that on was never like that.
Best bets. I'm Blazing Carl in the Stayers. Matt.
Balco Coastal in the Turners. Really big price for horses that form.
Win and place. Donn.
Adele at the price in the Reiner.
Adele.
I'm going Glimpse of Gala place in the Potence. Just a bit of a different one.
Charlie.
Mighty Potter.
And DC.
Thanks for the help in the Potence for JP McManus.
Alex Jeffrey says itchy feet for the Potence. Again, you can hear Ollie's comments on that horse tomorrow when that goes live. Interview with Dan Hussey.